Hey everyone, welcome back with Bean O Mac. In today's comparison, we're going in an interesting direction. World Tour is the first in the acclaimed Aki series for the N64 that wrestling game fans fell in love with. So on the PlayStation side, they got WCW Nitro. Nitro is commonly looked back on as one of the worst wrestling games, period. I've honestly never played Nitro due to its reputation. Well, it's time I put it to the test and see how it stacks up to one of the greats. Without further ado, let's break it down. Alright, let's get down to the numbers. WCW vs nWo World Tour was Aki's first release on N64 on December 2nd, 1997 in North America and February of 1998 in Europe. It's the second best-selling fighting game on the N64 console with a reported 1.3 million sold. WCW Nitro was developed by Inland Productions for the PlayStation 1 and released in America on January 15th of 1998. Then in Europe around June. There's an N64 port by the same name, but WCW Nitro for the N64 is actually a different game than the one that we will be looking into today. So, we're sticking to the PSX game for this comparison. The reported sales were also around 1.3 million as well. WCW Nitro would even get a greatest hits release for PS1 and is apparently the 78th best-selling PlayStation game of all time. Pretty surprising yet interesting numbers, but let's see what's inside these games. The presentations are vastly different here. The intro to World Tour uses real-time N64 tech with the actual character models. WCW Nitro, on the other hand, has an FMV showing some hard-hitting action to pump you up. In World Tour, we have the menu options with the WCW ring swirling in the distance. Once you start a match, we get a cool transition where we head into that ring. On the title screen for Nitro, we are welcomed by Mean Gene Okerlund.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gene Okerlund, and I'd like to welcome you to WCW Nitro.
The main menu on Nitro has a picture of Hollywood Hogan holding up the nWo World Heavyweight Championship on the Nitro stage. World Tour is very cartoony looking, but vibrant and colorful. The arenas are very bright and pop out at you. Nitro is kind of the opposite. The graphics are pretty blurry and pixelated, and the arenas are very dark in Nitro. There are many more arenas in WCW Nitro, however. Just like World Tour, they're all virtually the same stadiums with different ring designs, although Nitro feels a lot more lifeless. There are also some outrageous arena designs that don't even take place in arenas. Inland Productions created a bunch of themed arenas that I think are admittedly pretty cool. On the character select screen for World Tour, you have portraits of all the wrestlers. They're all separated by their promotions. When highlighting a character, we see their model in the center for a better look. You can change costumes while they perform their signature taunts in real time. Nitro also has portraits you highlight. For the base roster, you can press circle to see a mini promo that are called rants. They're pretty entertaining.
You know, brother, you think you got what it takes to beat Hollywood Hogan? Watch you climb in the ring and try out the largest arms in the world, Hollywood style.
If you want to wrestle an inch more Ric Flair, you gotta be able to walk that aisle and style and profile. Woo! You really think you're ready for the Stinger? You really think you're ready for the Scorpion Deathlock? You think you're ready for a fatal encounter?
This is why they call me the total package. Do you have a pain threshold to withstand the torture rack? Let's find out.
Hey man, here's Alex Wright. If you want to have high-flying acrobatics and total wrestling action, pick me, and I show you what Alex Wright is all about.
Oh yeah! Watch the flying elbow drop off the top rope. Not only beat people 1, 2, 3, but I hurt them real bad.
It only takes one of 1,000 holds to defeat you. If you think you're man enough for the challenge, step in the ring.
Technical wrestler, high flyer, brawler. It don't matter what you consider yourself to be. When you're in the ring with the crippler, you're a loser.
You think you got the courage to step in the ring? I think you're gonna wind up with a snap neck from the choke slam.
Hey there! How'd you like to get power bombed? Come on, pick me. I'm begging you, pick me. Please pick me. Yo, Chico, you selected Scott Hall? Get ready for a wild ride on the outside.
This is Booker T from Harlem Heat, hardcore OG brother from 110th Street. If any of you punks got the guts to step up to the plate, push the button.
Hey, all you suckers out there, you wanna play the game? You wanna play with the big boys? Put your finger on the button, cause when you go down 110th Street, it's gonna be on like neck bone, sucker.
Hey, monkey boy. Like there's a choice here? Good God! Pick the man with the plan. Pick DDP.
Hey, anytime you feel froggy, man, I'll slap on the buzz killer and rip your shoulder right out of the socket. Wolfpack style!
These have become legendary within the wrestling gaming community and often cited as the only good thing about this title. Entrances are absent from World Tour. Instead, the camera focuses on the wrestlers one at a time and they taunt with their names popping up on screen. There are no entrances either in Nitro. World Tour doesn't feature commentary during matches, but Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan do in Nitro. There's no banter though, so they only talk when a move is performed or someone comes running from the back.
Powerbomb! Backbreaker! Off the turnbuckle. Mile driver.
The gameplay are once again totally different here. In World Tour you have spirit meters. When you successfully pull off attacks and taunts, it will raise from green to orange until it reaches its peak. Then you will automatically enter the special state where you can do front and back finishes. Do poorly and your momentum goes down to blue, where it becomes harder to reverse. You have weak and strong attacks for strikes and grapples. Once in a grapple state, you have 6 move options for weak and 6 move options for strong grapples. Weak do less damage but are difficult to reverse. Strong hold signature moves but are easier to counter. Other than that though, you have the ability to do top rope moves, fight outside the ring, use weapons, and more. The gameplay in Nitro is probably the most simple yet complicated I've ever seen. You press button combos to do specific moves. Everybody shares most of their moves except for specials. You also have a tight range you need to be in for moves to work properly. Some combinations include up triangle triangle for a body slam, or square then X for a powerbomb. Honestly, I don't know why they made things so complicated, but at least once you learn one moveset, you pretty much know them all. The object is to damage your opponent until their health is drained and then you go for a pin. That's really it. Alright then, it's match type time. WCW vs nWo has 4 options: singles, tag team, 2-on-1 handicap, and a 4-man battle royal. You have tornado and elimination options for both tag team and handicap matches as well. Not much, but it is more than what WCW Nitro offers. The only 2 match types available in Nitro are versus and tag team. Both games follow a similar idea for their rosters. Have some big names from WCW and the nWo, and then a bunch of extra wrestlers not tied to the promotions. In World Tour, you have the fictional promotions based off of Japanese wrestling. The roster features some big Japanese names at the time from FMW and Michinoku Pro, but changed a little to avoid copyright laws. In Nitro though, instead of fictional wrestlers, you have fictional things? Aliens, snowmen, bees, ghosts, clowns, anime girls, Santa, and more. Honestly, the selection screen and choices remind me of a Tekken game. I have to wonder if Inland just wanted to create a fighting game, but we're told it had to resemble wrestling in some way. Actual World Championship Wrestling talent featured in both games include the likes of Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, Lex Luger, Macho Man Randy Savage, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, The Giant, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Six, DDP, Eric Bischoff, Ultimo Dragon, Steven Regal, and Rey Mysterio Jr. Exclusive to World Tour though are the Steiner Brothers, Fake Sting, Buff Bagwell, Scott Norton, Wrath, and Glacier. Exclusively available in Nitro are Harlem Heat, Alex Wright, Chris Jericho, Disco Inferno, Steve McMichael, and Conan. There's some women, managers, and announcers too. Very strange rosters when you think about it, but it's apparently a WCW thing to do, I guess. Once again, both games had similar ideas here. They're both just arcade ladder-like modes where you defeat all contenders until you receive your championship match. In World Tour's League Challenge, you can select from a variety of titles in each promotion. The number of matches depends on the title and promotion chosen. In Nitro, you always have 10 matches. The game is kind enough to tell you which match you're on before the start of each match as well. These career modes are the main source of unlocking all the in-game characters, so you'll be playing through a lot of these modes if you want to unlock everyone. For the first time in this series, I have the unfortunate news that neither of these games have any sort of edit or creation modes to speak of, so we'll have to move on from here. WCW Nitro also doesn't have any extra modes to play. World Tour on the other hand has some bonus additions. You can do a 5-on-5 WCW vs nWo Team Battle mode. To bring up Tekken again, it's like the team mode in those old games. You select up to 5 wrestlers on each team, then have one-on-one matches right after the other. When defeated, the member of that team is eliminated and the next one in line fights the still standing on the opposite side. A draw will have both entrants eliminated. Once all members of a team are defeated, we have a winner. League is a round-robin style tournament with 3 to 8 contestants. Everyone fights each other for the most points. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 for a loss. The final bonus mode is the regular tournament. Once again 3 to 8 wrestlers, but now it is single elimination rules. The survivor is the winner. Well, that's about it. These titles probably seem pretty primitive to today's standards. It was an interesting look into not only what both consoles could offer during the same time period, but also how important the mindset of a company needs to be in order to craft a fun game. I'm not really sure what else to say here. I mean, one game is beloved by N64 fans to this day, and the other is often rated as the worst wrestling game of all time. I'll be honest, I didn't have the worst time playing Nitro for this video. I try to be objective, but if someone actually likes Nitro more than World Tour, please, tell us why. I actually look forward to hearing your perspective though. That's all for today though. Next month, I'll compare the sequels to these titles, WCW nWo Revenge and WCW Thunder. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Subscribe for Aki content every single Sunday, like more comparisons, ROM hack reviews, rankings, and more. Ring the bell to be notified of my playthroughs every Wednesday and Saturday as well. Above all else though, please remember to have a nice day.